Hey everyone, this is Dr. William Clark here. So glad that you're joining us for the Dr. William Clark podcast. This podcast is focused on helping nonprofits simplify the fundraising processes they use so they can build six-figure programs without chasing funders. I don't know about you, but I wish I knew this information before I started working in the nonprofit world years ago. But I'm here to help you build six-figure programs, and I'm here to help you on your journey. So would you be so kind to not only listen to this podcast, but would you also rate? Would you also subscribe? Would you also comment on this podcast wherever you're listening? And lastly, would you also be kind enough to share this podcast with a friend or a colleague who you believe can benefit from the content we're sharing? Now, we are here to help and support you on this journey, and I believe that we have some resources that can help you quite a bit. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast. Now, let's jump into our show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dr. William Clark podcast. I'm your host, Dr. William Clark. Glad to be with you today. I want to talk about this topic, raise $50,000 for your nonprofit in 6 months or less. And we're talking about this topic because there's so much need in our community to solve our problems, to help people get on their feet, to change the trajectory of our community, and for so many individuals, so on and so on. And the question that we always get, obviously, because of the nature of this podcast, is how do we raise that serious money? How do we put ourselves in position to raise serious money? And when we talk about serious money, I typically think of 6 figures and 7 figures, in many cases 8 figures as well. I don't necessarily talk about anything less than 6 figures because the work you do and the work you are engaged in requires money to operate. If you're not raising the money necessary to operate your organization, there's a struggle there. There's always going to be a struggle there to provide services, to pay staff, to cover expenses, etc. And so this is why our podcast, this is why our Clubhouse room, this is why our Facebook group, this is why our masterclass focuses on raising serious money for your nonprofits, because it matters. It is necessary for the success of your community. It's necessary for the success of your customer, both those who come in for free and those who are paying for the service. With that being said, I want to talk about how to raise $50K in 6 months or less. In all actuality, I'm going to teach you how to actually raise about $80,000 in 6 months or less for your nonprofit, but we set the bar at $50K. And the reason why we're targeting $50K is because our masterclass, which is currently enrolling new cohort members, is targeting organizations who have yet to cross the $50,000 a year mark for their organization. And if that's you, this podcast, this Clubhouse room, is definitely going to be a help to you, and it articulates how you can get there and why it's important to get there. So let's jump into it. I'm going to share just a bit, and then I'm going to pause, take questions. The questions and Q&A will not be on the podcast, so the podcast listeners will just get the content, and therefore everyone who's taken in this content can get the replay at the Dr. William Clark podcast. So let's get started. There are about 4 things I want to provide to you to help you raise $50,000 in 6 months or less. Let's start with board members. Board members have a distinct responsibility to provide oversight for your organization, and they have a distinct responsibility to help fundraise for your organization. They are not paid members. They are not paid to do anything. They are volunteers. However, they are volunteers that actually pay to be on the board. That's part of the responsibility to raise money for the board. Now, every board organization, every nonprofit organization and their board has different policies in place in terms of how much they expect each board member to raise. And so that's something you're going to have to work through with your organization. But let's kind of set the stage here in terms of stating that every board that is serious about their work and serious about the work that helps the nonprofit get to where it's trying to be is expected to come in at 100% board involvement. Now, what does that mean? That means that every member of the board is responsible for giving some sort of money to the organization. That is required if you're going to transition your organization into raising serious money. Okay? If you didn't know that, that's something to know, that foundations that engage in giving serious money, grants, etc., want to see 100% board engagement by way of cash donations. It's great to kind of talk about in-kind donations, but you really want to see your board members give cash. Now, there are a couple of ways board members can give. Now, the most basic and common way you see board members giving is through cash in hand. So they give their membership dues or their board dues or whatever the case may be by a defined period of time. And again, your policies dictate what that amount is. Now, for the sake of this example, I am assuming that you're going to have an odd number of board members. So I picked an odd number of 11 board members. Check your charter to see what your charter calls for when it comes to board members. And if you ask every board member to give $1,300 a year, that equals to $14,300 given by your board. Okay? 11 board members giving $1,300 a year, that's $14,300 a year for the total board give. Now, every board member will be asked, and this is just a scenario that you can utilize or some variation of it, every board member will be asked to give $50 every 2 weeks. So that's 26 weeks of giving at $50 and equates to $1,300 a year per board member. These are easy numbers. And this allows the board, particularly if they're still working or have some sort of income, to give on a consistent rotational basis. It simplifies the giving. It systematizes the giving. It creates an expectation that board members are giving without thinking, so they can put it on auto pay. They can send a check to the organization. They can do an automatic withdrawal. Another strategy that I shared with someone yesterday is to have board members add the bank account of the nonprofit to their auto pay. Right, so if you get direct deposit, you can add that as an auto pay option in your payroll system. And this allowed the board members to just give without even thinking about it. And quite frankly, if you're a founding executive director and you are in the early stages, I often advise my clients to give to their organizations. And one of the effective ways to do that is to do what your board members are doing. That is to give every week, every 2 weeks, whenever you get paid. But you do that by adding the bank account of or at least the operations or receiving account of the nonprofit to your payroll direct deposit. And that money gets automatically deposited into the nonprofit's bank account, and boom. And watch that add up, guys. Whether it's a PayPal account, which is pretty cool to receive money, or an actual bank account with the bank that you bank with, that's pretty cool to kind of see money coming in every week, every 2 weeks, because people get paid on odd number of weeks, and at the end of the month, you see this cash piling up for your nonprofit. This creates huge opportunity. Some board members are going to give more than $50 every 2 weeks. Some will give less, but the average should be around $50 a week. And if you can get board members to give $100 every 2 weeks, that's awesome too. But the other thing I want to point out, again, I'm going to stress this, when it comes to you building your board, especially if you're new to this, you want to make sure that your board sees this as a simple process, okay? So what do I mean by that? And this is something you can use for your galas. This is something you can use for any event that you're hosting, which I'm not going to talk about, but I'll talk about now. When you're trying to raise big money, and think about your galas where people pay a ticket price to get into your gala. You're charging $100, $150, $200, $250 to come in. That's common, right? But that's not the only place you're fundraising. Of course, you can have sponsors, and we'll get to that in a minute. But when you as executive director or your keynote speaker concludes their talk, the talk should close not with the speaker saying thank you and thanks for coming out, continue to support our nonprofit. The talk should close with, hey, I want to talk about now how you can be a part of the process of us serving more people. And people are engaged to serve, not necessarily through the form of volunteerism, which is cool, and y'all know how I feel about volunteers. But really, people are engaged to serve more by way of their giving. Their giving is much more effective than them volunteering. Why does that matter? Because if you get people to give, that cash that they give can allow you to hire somebody to actually do the program, to actually teach the class, to actually show up and do the work. That's much more effective. Okay, and so what you do in terms of events, fundraising, etc., you set a goal. Hey, we want to see everybody in this room give $1,500, $2,000, $2,500. And to a working class person who bought a ticket and bought their dress and their suit and came to look nice and to network and politic, that's a lot of money. But what you're offering in your envelope and what you're offering in your talk is a different variations of how to give that $2,500. Of course, people can give it up front. People can give it in quarters, $625 every quarter. People can give it every 2 months, so that puts you at about $416 every 2 months. People can give it every month, that puts you at $208 every month. They can give it every 2 weeks, so that puts you at just about $96 every 2 weeks. And if you want to be just simple and keep it super simple, you can give it every week, and that's $48 a week. That's simple. $48 a week to our nonprofit, and you can help us serve more kids. You can help us serve more families. You can help us serve more women who are coming out of domestic violence situations. You can help us serve more homeless individuals. You can help us serve more veterans. $48 a week, and we can do X. See, in the masterclass that we're teaching and we're hosting, we're taking enrollment now. We're going to teach you how to simplify your message, but it comes down to strategy and having a strategy in place to get the job done. When you have the strategy in place, it becomes easier to articulate to the public what you're doing, what you're about, what you're going to accomplish, how you're going to do it. And you can say it in one sentence. I'm going to help 250 people in this fiscal year get a job and become economically self-sufficient. That's a real statement, by the way. Right? Those numbers are going to mushroom depending on our revenue and what we're going to accomplish. But in one city, we'll do 250 people. In the state, we'll do over 1,000. Right? It becomes super easy to talk about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how people can help you. We're going to serve 250 people and help them get a job and become economically self-sufficient. We can actually serve 300 people if you commit, sir, if you commit, ma'am, to giving $48 a week. Why 48? Well, give a cool story about 48, but the math kind of equals out to that. But help people also understand, well, how can I afford $48 a week? Man, I got a great idea. You can give up Starbucks for the next 52 weeks. Not only will it help you in your diet, it will help you in your budget, but we're much cheaper than Starbucks. Give up McDonald's. Give up eating out. Give up buying stuff for your motorcycle. Hint, hint, Dr. Clark. $48 a week, and it can help. So look at this, $2,500 per person. And you're not going to get that at your gala, right? You're going to get some variation. You're probably going to get maybe half the people doing that. But the concept is out there. And what ends up happening, while you're going to get some people who are going to give at the $2,500 level, some up front, some over time, you're actually going to get people at a much lower rate. Some are going to give $2,000, $1,500, $1,500, but they're going to give at the same intervals that you laid out. If I'm going to give $500 to your organization, I can give it up front because I have it. I can give it every 4 months, which puts me at $125 every 4 months. $500 divided by 12 puts me at $41 a month. $500 divided by 52 weeks puts me at almost $10 a week. Now, we can poo-poo $10 a week that's coming in, but $10 a week times 50 people, right? $500 times 50 people puts you at $25,000 that you raised at that event. I hope you guys are getting me. And that was just the concept of raising money from your board. Again, if you missed it, you're just coming into the room, go to Dr. William Clark podcast. You can catch the replay once this class is over. All right, so we're trying to raise $50,000 in 6 months or less. We just talked about how to raise $14,300 from your board members, having them give $50 every 2 weeks. All right, the next thing I want to cover, let's do a series of community grants. Now, community grants are the common way most new nonprofits kind of jump into the fray of grant writing. This is money collected from Walmart, Target, Home Depot, your local community, big retailers who offer community grants, your shopping centers or shopping markets, etc. And you want to get a string of these things, right? You want to get about 5 of these if you can, and you want to average about $1,500 per grant. That's $7,500. Okay, that's simple and easy enough. Look at your large big box retailers in your community. Figure out if they have a community giving arm. Figure out what the max is. Do your best to write an amazing grant application, and then submit and get the money. Now, if they say no, get back on the horse, do it again. And if they keep saying no, call me because you need help. Or just simply join the masterclass. If you want to join the masterclass and learn how to fundraise, shoot me a DM. We'll get you the application out so you can put your application in to join the masterclass. But yeah, you should be able to get some community grants out there. This also includes small and private family foundations that may give $5,000, $10,000 here and there. Okay, you're gonna do your homework on that to find out where these small foundations exist, but they do exist within your community. Great. So we got 4 ideas on how to raise $50,000 in 6 months. Now, remember, the first step is to engage your board. 11 board members giving $50 every 2 weeks. That's $14,300. And then we were conservative and said, let's go after a number of community grants. 5 of them, $1,500 a piece. That's $7,500. Now, $14,300 plus $7,500 puts us at $21,800. So we still have a little ways to go, guys. We still got to raise an additional $28,200. How are we going to do it? Glad you asked. So let's go on to this next opportunity, okay? And that is sponsored events, okay? Now, let's just talk about a sponsored event. Now, I just gave you the scenario for a sponsored event. Now, how it works, you want to raise money from the event itself. So you want to replay this, go back to the podcast, Dr. William Clark podcast, replay how I taught you how to sell from the stage at your event. But before you do that, before you raise money from the stage, you also want to raise money from sponsors, okay? Now, I want to share something different with you. Now, most people think about sponsorships and think about how do we sell ad spaces in our booklet? And how do we sell ad spaces in the little program that we hand out? I'm not going to put down the actual program thing, but I just want to share something with you that, one, I think you're leaving a lot of money on the table by printing in program ads only. 2, if you aren't... It's hard to convince people to read through the program, to see your sponsors, and to take action. Okay, that's 2. Now, let me go back to the first one, right, about leaving money on the table. We charge $50, $100, $150, $250 for a page, half-page, quarter-page size ad in the program. That's cool. But there is a much more lucrative way to have sponsors involved in your work, okay? So instead of just focusing on the event itself, and let's assume you do a half live, half virtual event in the middle of this COVID environment, you're still going to need sponsors to pay for low-level costs. And one of the things I want to encourage you to do is to make sure you control costs at your event at all times, no matter what you're doing. Now, I want you to consider 5 businesses. Now, you're going to end up with 5 businesses. Reality is you probably need to do research on 30 to 40 businesses in your community who are doing well, okay? Let me write this down while we're doing this live. 30 to 40 businesses who are doing well in your community. Doesn't matter what type of business. Of course, stick with businesses that are aligned with your morals and values. But you can do a variety of businesses such as car dealerships, the local baseball stadium in your city, the local coffee shop, restaurant, printing company, design company, all types of companies, architectural company, whatever, right? Just do your research. 30, 40 businesses, and have a variety, large, medium, small. Okay? You obviously want to figure out how to pitch to them. If you need to do that, need to figure out how to pitch to these businesses, go to my social media, particularly on Facebook, and look up how to close a sponsor. You can find me on Facebook at Dr. William P. Clark. Look up how to close a sponsor. I provide a very detailed text there on how to do that. Okay, so follow that. And then you want to have these businesses sponsor you at $5,000 a piece. Now, we're being conservative, okay? This is assuming you don't know how to do this. And, of course, in some cases, it's going to be much lower. But let's just be conservative, $5,000 a piece. Each business sponsors you at $5,000 a piece. That's $25,000 right there. So that closes the $28,000 gap, guys. But the question is, what are they sponsoring? They're not sponsoring your event at $5,000 a piece. That's crazy. That's not going to happen. What they're sponsoring actually is your program. What they're sponsoring actually is access to the eyeballs you see on a regular basis. I want you guys to catch this strategy here. A lot of nonprofits don't realize that they are high traffic areas. You are a magnet to eyeballs and would-be consumers for a lot of the businesses in your city. And oftentimes businesses want to know how to get access to potential consumers so they can close and sell that particular consumer. Think of your local car dealership. Think of your local restaurant. Think of your local supermarket. Think of your local printing company. Think of your local t-shirt company. Think of your local childcare. Think of your local beauty salon or barbershop, and fill in the blank and fill in the blank and fill in the blank. They're looking to get new customers, particularly as things open up and COVID subsides and people are going outside. How can we attract money to our place of business? What you may not realize is that you, my friend, are a magnet for eyeballs and would-be consumers. Consumers who may be in the market in the next couple of months for a new vehicle. If you're serving youth and young adults, if you're serving returning citizens, if you're serving veterans, if you're serving women who are coming out of abusive relationships, people coming out of homelessness, anybody over 18, you're serving a potential customer to a dealership. Like that, just think about it, right? The number of people you help get jobs, the number of people you help get on their feet, the number of people you help find stability, economic self-sufficiency, become candidates for buying a new vehicle or a used vehicle, but new to them. That's very attractive to a dealership, and that can turn into serious money because they'll make money on the sale, they'll make money on the financing, they'll make money on the services provided to the vehicle. I hope you guys are catching this concept. Every business that is worth their salt also has a budget for marketing and branding, and they got to spend it some way, somehow. Now, it might not be as cool to put a billboard up on the highway anymore because they don't know how much traffic they're going to get. I just rode into the office on my motorcycle. I'm loving it, guys. Loving my motorcycle. But there wasn't really much traffic on the highway. Now, typically pre-COVID, there would still be traffic on the highway. I was amazed. I was just zooming through on the highway, no traffic. So then it begs the question, is it still attractive to market on a billboard where there's little traffic right now? So if it's not attractive and it's not worth the money, where can business owners spend their marketing dollars to get traffic where they know people are coming and people are congregating? I got an idea. How about your nonprofit? Now, yesterday I had a consult with someone and I taught them the secret of how to get performance results even as a new organization. And it's through partnerships. So now when you think about traffic and the people you're serving, you're not only going to market and sell a sponsorship to a business because of the people you're serving, you're selling access to other people that you're serving through your partnerships as well. I don't have time to go into that, guys, but that can open up the doors. So let's go back to this. We got to close the gap. We got $28,000 left to raise. We're going to find 5 businesses of the 30 and 40 researched and pitch them. Again, go to my Facebook page. Look up how to close a sponsor, pitch them at $5,000 a piece. Some will pay more, some will pay less, whatever the case may be. And let's say we generate $25,000 for a 1-year sponsorship of our nonprofit program. And this is conservative, guys. Again, you put them in your program for your event. Obviously, do the little things there. But we're talking about major money. This $5,000 sponsorship per business is much bigger than the $250 you're trying to charge for a full page ad, right? So I hope you're getting this concept. So now, between our board giving $14,300 and a series of community grants giving $7,500, let's do the math really quick, guys. $7,500 plus $14,300 plus the $25,000 that we got from the sponsorships puts us at $46,800. We're almost there. So that means we got to raise $3,200. This clubhouse room, this podcast is talking about how to raise $50,000 in 6 months. So we're short $3,200. Where are we going to get the remaining $3,200? Here's the last one, guys. Then we'll shut down the podcast, bring you guys up to the stage for questions, for Q&A. The last thing you want to do within the next 6 months is to develop the right partnerships. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about partnerships with people who just started their nonprofit or people who are who are the same size as you. I'm talking about partnerships with organizations who are mature, who are sizable, who are definitely bigger than you, and who you can do business with. And I want you to figure out how you can become a subcontractor to their program. This is what a true partnership will look like. Whether they're writing you into a grant, whether they're paying for a service that they got a grant for but they can't do themselves, or some combination of the two. You got to do your homework. In the masterclass that I'm hosting, and we're taking enrollment, we're starting in a couple weeks, I'm going to teach you how to assess partnerships, how to find the right partnerships, how to navigate these partnerships to get the results you're looking for. And you're going to propose conservatively, hey, $20,000 per partnership to do the services. That brings you up to $40,000. Again, this is conservative. Some will pay more, some will pay less. I don't have time to go into the partnership game and how that can work for you. But if you're a new nonprofit, even if you're a mature nonprofit, partnerships are the way to go. You can do all this in 6 months and raise $50,000 plus for your organization. And as a matter of fact, with those 4 strategies, we just put together a 6-month plan of raising $86,800. Again, for the folks who just came into the room, how did we do it? $14,300 from your board, $7,500 from community grants, $25,000 from sponsorships, and lastly, $40,000 from partnerships. Folks, I hope that this example helped you on your journey. For those of you who are looking to raise money for your nonprofit, what I was trying to show and help you understand is that it's possible. You can make this happen. If you put in place the right strategies, the right winning strategies, in 6 months or less, you can raise serious money for your nonprofit. And this changes the trajectory for your nonprofit. With $86,000, $86,800 in 6 months, and if you do it again, this puts you at $173,600 for the year. This now puts you in a category of raising serious money. As y'all come to the stage, just think about this question. What could you do? Let's just divide this by 2. Let's go back to the $86,800. What could you do with $86,800 for your nonprofit? I want that to sit right there for a moment. What could you do with $86,800? How many people could you serve with $86,800? How many staff members can you hire part-time, per diem, with $86,800? Can you finally put yourself on a salary, taking a portion of the $86,800? Can you finally get office space, utilizing a piece of $86,800? There's so much you can do. Before we take questions and comments, if this is something you want to learn how to do and do it in a way that makes sense for your nonprofit organization, that makes sense for your board, your stakeholders, your community, shoot me a message and say, Dr. Clark, I want to join the masterclass, the fundraising masterclass, because we're going to teach this. We're going to walk through how to do these things. I'm going to explain in detail the mentality, the strategies that go into all of this stuff so that you can raise serious money for your nonprofit. If you haven't crossed the $50,000 a year mark yet, you need to be in this masterclass. If you're just starting out, you need to be in this masterclass. Even if you cross the $50,000 mark and you're still kind of trying to figure out systems and processes to make it consistent and to take the stress out of fundraising, you need to be part of this masterclass. I want you to send me a message now, DM me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you got to do, and say, Dr. Clark, I need the link to the masterclass, and I want to be a part of the upcoming cohort. We're still taking applications. We have a few seats left, and I'm saving a seat just for you. Shoot me a DM. With that being said, to our podcast audience, we appreciate you hanging in there. This is the Dr. William Clark Podcast. I am your host, Dr. William Clark. We will see you guys in the next episode. Peace, everybody. Hey everyone, this is Dr. William Clark here. I just wanted to come on really quick and say thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. William Clark Podcast. We are here to help you simplify your processes so you can triple fundraising results to support the programs that mean so much to you. Would you be so kind to like, comment, and share this particular podcast? We are indebted to you for being faithful listeners to this particular podcast show, and we want to continue to spread this message to other people who can benefit from it. So please share this podcast episode and entire show with your colleagues, your friends, and people who you know can benefit from this. You can connect with us in 2 ways. You can go to drwilliampclark.com. Again, that's drwilliampclark.com, or you can visit us at mysixfigurefunding.com. Again, that's mysixfigurefunding.com. There you can register for our free upcoming webinar, How to Triple Fundraising Results Without Chasing Funders. It is possible, and I share with you the secrets on how to do that. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next episode.